living in Cambodia, specifically living in Phnom Penh, was amazing. It was like being in university, be back in college, because people were starting clubs, people were starting new businesses. There were people from all over the world, and because there was such a low barrier for entry, so many different things were happening all the time. So new restaurants would open and they'd have great deals, and then they would close, and then another new restaurant would open and they'd have cheap meals too.
And you'd have food from all over the world there because, yeah, it was like Cambodia is a very open country, so it's pretty easy to go in there and start a business. And we also made so many local friends. So, like, we were also lucky to attend weddings of colleagues or friends, and other events that are like Buddhist celebrations, like opening of a building, or I mean, I feel like there's a celebration for just about everything. So, there's just always something going on. Phnom Penh is a very vibrant city, and it's a city where people are making things happen all the time because you can, you know? Yeah, like Stevo started a comedy club there. Um, we were both involved in so many organizations. I started a baking club with my friend, and it was just like an excuse to make cookies and like hang out with girlfriends and, and drink wine and eat cookies. But like, there's just so many fun things you could just do.
So did you guys spend most of the 3 years in Phnom Penh?
Hmm.
Yeah,
All three.
yeah, we lived there all 3 years. We traveled around. We traveled around the country a lot, and outside the country, but we lived in Phnom Penh the whole time.
Hmm.
So like at that time when you were there in 2015 at the beginning, were there a lot of other travelers and foreigners there, or was that still a more unusual place to go to?
No, there were a lot of foreigners there.
There were some old hands there. They had been there, you know, 20 plus years.
Hmm.
People just kept hanging on, and so those were very interesting people to meet who had been there through the rougher periods of the country's history, or their ascent into more development. It was interesting to meet those people and see, like, okay, you could make, and again, these are people we learned more from. Like, you could do this. You can just live in other countries if you're willing to do what it takes to stay there.
Yeah, Cambodia was very interesting because it's a pretty corrupt country in a lot of ways we aren't used to. Like, the corruption, I should say, is out in the open. It's not that our countries aren't corrupt, it's just kind of at a higher level. But, Cambodia is like you're getting pulled over and the cops are getting a couple bucks off of you kind of country, right? Um, and and it's just rougher around the edges. So the kind of foreigners who would go there could also be a little rougher around the edges. You'd meet all kinds of people. Some
Mm.
not so great, but some incredible. So
And so was that hard to adapt to? Like being in an environment that's a little rough around the edges? Or was that not a huge stretch for you guys?
I think we like a little grit. I think it makes it more interesting. Like, to your point, we also love places like Bangkok where you can have all those amenities and things that make life easier. But I do think it makes life way more interesting to have that rough around the edges, feeling.
Hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like the picture that you guys are painting is kind of like the wild, wild west, where like,
Totally.
lots of opportunities to do this and do that. And that sounds cool. Is there a language barrier traveling in Cambodia?
In Phnom Penh, not really. We did learn some Khmer, which is the local language there. But we called it like tuk tuk Khmer, right? You want to like be able to direct your driver, like turn
Yeah.
right, bat sadam, bat swang, like stuff like that.
Some chop TD.
And like food words, that's important, right? If you want to go eat at
Yeah.
street stalls, you need to know the food words.
The numbers so we could bargain.
Polite words, really basic conversation. But
Yeah.
for the most part, a lot of Cambodians speak very good English, especially in Phnom Penh where they're interacting with foreigners more. So, um, yeah, it wasn't really a big problem like it was in China.
How many languages do you guys speak in total?
Oh, we barely speak English. Yeah. Maybe one and a quarter.
I mean, we speak a smattering of languages okay. Like, we can get by in Chinese still. We can get by in Cambodia. We speak a little bit of Thai.
You do?
Well, just like the very basic words,
Oh.
but we don't speak anything fluently besides English. I think Chinese is probably our second best language, and then Spanish would probably be after Chinese.
You have them as tuk-tuk languages, like to kind of get by in
Yeah,
everyday
a little better for
circumstances.
Chinese.
Chinese. We
okay.
got walking around Chinese. Like, we're conversational, but we're not interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Conversational but not
Like,
interesting.
we-
That's an interesting way
we
to
did
put it.
We put a lot of effort into learning Chinese, so that one's probably our best, but we haven't used it that much in the past several years, so
Like 10
probably
years.
gone away. Yeah.
Yeah. We could have a basic conversation.
Still, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we learned Spanish in high school.
Yeah, like if you don't use it, it is hard to maintain it for sure. But I think it's always somewhere in there, you know, like especially if you reach like an okay level, you know, that conversational but not interesting level that you were talking about. I think if you get there, it never fully goes away. It's like just hidden a little bit deeper. I would imagine that like your day-to-day life in Phnom Penh would be radically different than what you guys were experiencing in the US. Like what were some of the main differences in lifestyle?
I guess our commute to work would be a big one. Like in California, I was commuting on the freeway every day, sitting in traffic. In Phnom Penh, we rode bicycles everywhere to get around, and so we'd just be, breezing through the traffic. And gosh, I can't believe we did that. We don't know how we're alive, to be really honest with
We
you.
look back on it like, how are we still alive? Like it's like we did a lot of dangerous stuff every single day.
Every day.
Every single day. Yeah.
I don't know that we do all that stuff now, 10 years later,
Yeah.
but it was great at the time.
I would just hail a motodop. I would just get on the back of some dude's motorcycle and he would take me to work.
Yeah, I have a good video of that on our YouTube channel, actually. It's just like a first-person view of taking a motorbike to work. Yeah.